That's a good way to start this. It's my mom.
Oh, okay. Don't open it yet. It's from Tick Punch.
Hello? Hey, what's up, everyone? Okay, steering wheel down. Okay, I hope that's... All right, so I got a quick story for you guys this week. And when I say quick, usually I end up editing my videos and getting through them, and it ends up being, you know, long. Once upon a time, a long time ago, I was a new police officer. I graduated the academy, got hired at my first agency. It was the agency of my choice. It's in the area where I grew up. I wanted to work in that agency. It happened to be a sheriff's office, so I had a lot of jurisdiction, you know, kind of a big sandbox, so to speak. I was on field training, so I had a cop with me teaching me how to do the job. Down, boy! All right, that steering wheel is just gonna drive me nuts. We'll do this back here. I do a traffic stop on a guy for a fairly new law at the time in our state called failing to yield to a stationary emergency vehicle. So basically on a multi-lane road, when you've got a police car, fire truck, ambulance, or whatever on the side of the road with their lights going, and you're approaching them and they're on the side of the road, you're required by law to slow down, and if you're in the far right lane closest to the emergency vehicle, and it's safe to do so, you have to make a lane change and actually get over. I did a traffic stop on a guy that didn't do that. He came up and went right by, and there were lanes available. He could have got over, and he didn't. So I pulled him over. I go up and contact him, and this dude is huge, like John Cena big.
Are you sure about that?
He was huge, and he was not happy about getting pulled over. I explained why I stopped him. He wasn't like losing his mind, like throwing a tantrum or anything, thank goodness. Because I swear, if this guy had decided to get out and eat me, there's nothing I could have done about it. He's not happy, but I give him the ticket, and he's on his way. I go on with my day. I don't think much about it until a few weeks later, I get a subpoena to come to court on a traffic ticket. Still not thinking much about it. That happens occasionally, especially if you're giving a lot of tickets. So I go to court. It ends up being this guy. So my side, of course, is represented by the county attorney, city prosecutor, whatever. He is defending himself. He doesn't have an attorney or anything, which most people will do. If you're gonna fight a speeding ticket or something like that, you're not gonna go to the expense or trouble of hiring an attorney, although you could. They're just gonna represent themselves. We start into the process. I go up, I give my statement, the prosecutor asks me questions, and he finishes. It's now time for the defendant to cross-examine the witness. Usually what happens is this is when people, they're just waiting for an opportunity to explain their side of the story to the judge, is really what they want to do. The problem is when you're there to cross-examine a witness, which was me, that's not the time to give testimony, that's the time to ask questions of the witness. But most people don't do that, and they just start explaining their story or giving their justification or rationalization or whatever, which is what he started to do. So the prosecutor hopped all over that and started objecting. You know, objection, Your Honor. He can't do this right now. Of course, the judge sustained it and explained, sir, this is not the time for this. It's the time for this. You can't do that. Okay. So he started into it again, started doing the exact same thing. Objection. Sustained. This went on for like 3, 4, 5, 6 times or whatever. And every time he tried to say or do something different, he was violating some kind of court protocol. The prosecutor just kept objecting to it. I mean, he was getting more and more upset. Like in the 5th or 6th objection or something like that, the prosecutor says objection, and this guy just, he'd had enough. He slams his hands down on the table and just yells, "Well, I object to your objection." The poor bailiff that was in the courtroom, probably half asleep or playing Candy Crush or whatever, suddenly woke up, panicking like, crap, what's going on? I'm gonna have to do something now. But the judge, as judges will typically do, was having none of it. He immediately put him in his place, told him if he had one more outburst like that, he was gonna throw him in jail. I don't remember exactly what happened after that. I think he actually brought himself down and calmed down. Of course, they ruled against him. He was found guilty because it was a good stop. It was a good stop. It was a good citation. He had committed the violation. Once I was done testifying, I left, and they work out the details with the defendant on how to pay or take care of the citation or whatever. Didn't think anything of it for over 10 years. Fast forward to that point, I am now working for my next agency. I'm in a building where they've got the courtroom and the police station in the same building, and we have a gym downstairs. So I go down one night to work out, and there's this guy in there that I've never seen before. And the dude's on the bench press with 4 45 plates on each side, and he's just repping these. Guy is super, super nice. Oh, hey, how's it going, man? I've never met you before. I'm so-and-so. Turns out he's a fellow law enforcement officer. He works in the court in the same building as us. I just never met him before. He actually asked me to spot him at one point when he threw on like another set of 45s. So now every 45 plate in the gym is being utilized. Fortunately, he throws up the weight, no problem, and we part ways, and I see him again occasionally in the gym and, you know, in the building here and there. Going forward maybe another year or two, and we move into the neighborhood that we're in now, and shortly after we do, a family moves into a house that was for sale right around the corner from us. Turns out that it's this guy. We actually end up going to the same church and everything. And just a few weeks ago now in church, he comes up to me in the hall and says, dude, I've got to talk to you. I remember you now. And I'm just like, what are you talking about, man? When I first met you, I thought you looked familiar. I couldn't place where I maybe had seen you from or knew you from. I didn't think much about it. It just all came back to me this last week. You gave me a ticket over 10 years ago. It was the same guy. So immediately my self-defense mechanisms kick in and I start thinking, he's gonna eat me. Now he's gonna eat me. He wanted to eat me 10 years ago. Now he's gonna finish the job. I had completely forgotten about it, and so had he, until he, for whatever reason, started piecing it together and it came back to him and he remembered. The first thing he said was, I'm sorry. He apologized. He wanted to apologize to me for the way he had acted on the traffic stop and in the courtroom. This just goes to show you how good the guy is, how much of a heart of gold he's got. He was more worried about how he had acted with me. He explained the background and why he was so stressed out. He was newly married at the time, having lots of financial problems, and then they got this ticket, which was just like the last worst thing that could have happened to him. I couldn't help but think the obvious lesson in this, moral of the story, takeaway, whatever, is just how important it is for police officers, those of us in this profession, I mean anybody, but specifically for us, to treat people with respect. We are professionals, we should be doing that anyway, but it is such a small world, guys. You do not know when and under what circumstances you will run into people that you've interacted with on this job. This is just one story. I've had so many times where I've run into somebody at the grocery store. I've been with my family and run into people and they look at me like I know you, or they've come up to me and been like, hey, you're that cop. That's always kind of a scary moment. How much better off are you if every person you interact with, you do your absolute best to treat them with decency and respect? When you run into that person again, how are they gonna remember you? Anyway, that was my big takeaway from that whole story. I'm just glad that I, treated him with decency and was courteous with him when I gave him the ticket. Yeah, I still gave him a ticket and he wasn't happy about it, but I wasn't a jerk to him. All right, that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. Listen, we've got some really, really cool stuff planned for the channel for you guys coming up in the near future. I don't want to say anything other than that. Just know that we got some things in the works, and I'm excited to share that with you guys. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to turn on our post notifications. That's the little bell next to the subscribe button. You hit that, and you should be notified every time we post new content. All right, we'll see you guys soon on the next video. Have a great week.